Thank you, Deputy Speaker. I rise today to talk about violence against women. But first, Deputy Speaker, in speaking about this, I would like to also share a personal story. Deputy Speaker, I too have been subjected to an incident of serious violent behaviour and assault in my life, which shall remain etched in my memory for the rest of my life. This behaviour against me did not occur in my domestic household at the hands of people known to me or people I love and who love me. Rather, it occurred in my place of employment, where I'm sure all would agree all employees, male and female, should feel safe from violence at their place of employment as in their home and in their community. Deputy Speaker, this violent behaviour and assault against me occurred at the hands of male unionists at my place of employment. I was a young corporate lawyer at the time. I worked for a manufacturing company, and a management meeting at which I was to attend was scheduled to take place at the factory site of my employer. At this same time, there was an industrial dispute going on, and a group of unionists had set up a picket line at the entrance to the factory. I parked my car, got my briefcase and notebook, and as I walked past the unionist picketers, who had apparently assumed I was a journalist, they made a few wolf whistles and sleazy remarks. I attended the meeting and later realised that by the time I came out of the meeting, they had figured out a few things: that I worked for the employer, that I was part of management, and that I was of Greek heritage, clearly female. In these unionists' eyes, I was the enemy, and being female, someone to be disrespected, which in their minds felt justified their entitlement to assault me and engage in violent behaviour. The legal definition of assault can be paraphrased as when a person strikes, touches or otherwise applies force of any kind to a person, or a person who attempts or threatens to apply force of any kind to another person. These unionists suddenly raced towards me. They chased me to my car. At that point, albeit I was shaking with fear, I did feel safe in my car as I locked the doors. But their assault didn't end there. As I tried to drive my car out through the driveway entrance of the factory, several of these unionist men threw themselves on the bonnet of my car, whilst others pushed their contorted faces up against the two front windows, calling me a wog and other obscenities that went to my agenda, with further obscene threats of assault. Deputy Speaker, although this occurred some years ago and was not on a construction site, it is a memory that will be etched in my mind for life. And it has become clear to all in recent times that this theme of union thuggery and blatant disregard for the rule of law and blatant disrespect for women by union officials and certain unionists absolutely underpins the restoration of the Australian Building and Construction Commission to hold these unionists to account. Deputy Speaker, as our Prime Minister rightly says, disrespecting women does not always result in violence against women, but all violence against women begins with disrespecting women. On an unusually sunny day, fast forward to this year, during the winter campaign at a shopping centre in Burwood in Chisholm, I started chatting with this lovely lady, her mum and her young daughter, the classic three generations doing their local shopping. The little girl caught my attention, a very sweet, pretty little girl who was shy but seemed to enjoy a positive, happy engagement. I commented to the mum on how gorgeous her little girl was. The mum's eyes filled up and she whispered in my ear, "Well, she's just recovered from a black eye from her father." And then in hushed tones, this lovely, gracious woman told me her story of domestic violence at the hands of her former husband. She said to me, "It's like he knows it will hurt me more if he hurts my little girl," which of course it does. As they walked away, the grandma said very simply and genuinely to me, "Thank you so much for listening." Earlier in my career, Deputy Speaker, as a legal practitioner, I worked in legal aid and in private practice and provided support and legal advice to many women whose stories of domestic violence are similarly gut-wrenching and desperate. As I've said before, I will always strive to be the representative for the people of Chisholm who would listen more than I talk, and to be as pragmatic and get things done. The person who, rather than waiting to talk, will listen. That's why I'm so proud to be part of the Turnbull government, where we acted back in September last year and announced a $100 million women's safety package, which focuses on practical, immediate action to keep women safe, improved training for frontline workers, enhancing service delivery in critical areas, providing the best resources to change attitudes, and a national campaign. Communication is key to these women. A national campaign where there have been 36.5 million online views of the TV commercials outlining where help can be sought. And at the recent launch of the National Plan to Reduce Violence Against Women and Children, which includes $20 million for preventative strategies and cultural change, and $15 million for frontline services like housing and financial support. In my electorate of Chisholm, the Crossway Life Care Group and Cara House provide refuge for women and provide financial counselling. Financial counselling and financial independence is often key for women of domestic violence who are the victims of domestic violence. Historically, violence against women has been an issue that people simply won't talk about or do not want to talk about, an unpopular issue, an issue that a lot of people simply talk about in hushed tones, or that domestic violence is a private thing, not something that should be discussed in public. In fact, the term domestic violence poses the risk of minimising or diminishing what is simply put as a crime. Violence against women in any form, in any community, in any context is a crime. This is an issue where, rest assured, the Turnbull government is listening, standing with those Australians who have been frightened, hurt or scared by violence against you. And we actively and constructively are doing something about it. For anyone impacted by domestic or family violence, call 1-800-RESPECT or 1-800-7377 328. Deputy Speaker.